What's this one? Before we start today's class, Gemara class, I want to just mention just some history. First of all, at what point in history did the Mishnah era begin? Around what years were that?
I don't know yet.
Bavel, no. Golas Bavel was in between. Golas Bavel happened before the miracle of Purim. So Purim happened right a few years before the Binyan Bayis Sheni. The building of the second base of Mikdash happened in 3408.
Yeah.
And 3404 was the miracle of Purim, 4 years before. Achashverosh passes away, dies 2 years later, 3406. Esther's son, who's Darius II, is king. 4 years did it take from the time that the base of Mikdash was built, started, the renovation took place, the building took place for 4 years, so 3408 to 3412. It lasted for 420 years. The first one lasted for 410, the second one for 420. So the actual Churban base of Mikdash, second base of Mikdash, was in 3828. 3828 is 420 years from 3408. 3408 to 3828. So when did Hanukkah happen? Exactly. You want to know the exact year of Hanukkah? It was during the tenure of the second base of Mikdash, but exactly where? How far is Hanukkah from Purim in history? I'm asking this question, I want to get to the era of Gemara and the Mishnah. Anyone know the exact or close to the exact time of Hanukkah? Going once? I know. 3621. The year 3621, which is about 213 years into the building of the second base of Mikdash. 213, just right, mamash halfway, just about halfway of the second base of Mikdash lasted 420 years. 213 to the building of the second base of Mikdash, into the existence of the second base of Mikdash is when Hanukkah happened. So Hanukkah is about 217 years after Purim, to be exact. 217 years later. Okay. The zugos, this is before the era of the Mishnah. The zugos are the pairs. The pairs. Oh, now we can start.
Sorry, can you just tell me in your what? Was it? You said
Hanukkah was 3621. I asked a question, Chava, sorry. I'm very tired today. What year was the year of Hanukkah? You know?
Which year?
Which year? It's 5782 right now. So Hanukkah was, okay, I'll give you the answer. 3621. It's exactly 217 years after the Purim miracle. Purim was 3404, 4 years before the building of the second base of Mikdash. Hanukkah was 213 years into the building of the second base of Mikdash, yes.
Rabbi, what's your name for titling?
My name is not part of the history here.
Yeah, but it's part of the notes.
Greenberg.
Greenberg.
Yeah, Yosef Yitzchak. Okay, so it's not when you're tired, you get into a crazy mood.
Welcome.
Okay, 3621 was Hanukkah. Now, when did the era of the Zugos begin? The Zugos are before the Mishnah. These are the pairs Yossi ben Yochanan, Yossi ben Elazar. If you look at Pirkei Avos, you'll see two rabbis coming together. One was the Nasi, one was the Av Beis Din. They were like generation after generation after generation. It started 100 years before Hanukkah. So the era of the rabbis mentioned in Pirkei Avot, very beginning of, you look in the beginning of Pirkei Avot, you'll see two rabbis say this, and the next Mishnah, two rabbis say that. So they're called the Zugais, the pairs. And this started about 100 years, 120 years before Hanukkah. Quite not long after the building of the second Beis Hamikdash. This lasted until about 100 years before the Churban Beis Hamikdash. We have the era of the Tanoim. Who were they? Shmaya and Avtalyon, Gerim, the comforts. And their students were, who knows? Shmaya and Avtalyon, their students were Hillel and Shammai. So Hillel and Shammai and their teachers were the first generation of the Mishnah era. Of the Gemara we're learning right now is based on Mishnah. So the Mishnah era began with Hillel and Shammai, who lived to see the Churban Beis Hamikdash. They were there before, I believe. I'm not sure if they actually witnessed it, or they were right before the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash. Rabbi Akiva witnessed. He lived before and during, and he witnessed the Churban Beis Hamikdash. There are 5 generations of Mishnah sages. When was the last? Who was the last one? Was Rebbe, who passed away in the year of around 3590, which is 3428. 3428 was, 3828. 3828 was the Churban Beis Hamikdash Hasheni. In the year 3950, not 3950, which is 130 years after the Churban of the second Beis Hamikdash, that's when the Mishnah era stopped. That was the conclusion of the Mishnah era by Rebbe, whose name is Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. He compiled the Mishnah. He was the last generation of Tanoim. Again, 130 years, give or take, after the destruction of the second Beis Hamikdash, Churban Bayis Sheni. Then started the Amoraim. They're called the sayers. Tanoim are the teachers. Amoraim, the Gemara sages, Talmudic sages, are called the Amoraim. They're the ones who say pshat. They are the commentaries. They try to explain the Mishnah, and they're called Gemara sages. And they started there 7 or 8 generations of Amoraim, going all the way up until around the year 4200. No, for a little more than that. I'm not sure, 4,400 maybe. And then that period ended. Then you had 4,300. Then you had a short period of rabbis called Rabbanan Sivuroi, which we'll skip right now because it's late.
Can I just the 7 or 8 generations of Amoraim?
Ever hear of Abaye and Rava? You ever hear these guys? Abaye, Rava, Rav Huna, Rav Chisda, Rav Nachman. These are Amoraim. These are sages of the Gemara.
But what was the phrase you said? The 7 generations.
Tanoim.
Of Amoraim, they were the Talmud.
They were the sayers. They were the explainers, commentary on the Mishnah. That was, they can't argue with the sages of the Mishnah. They can only give their opinion as to what the Mishnah meant.
So did they make the Gemara?
They weren't the compilers of the Gemara. They were the sages in the middle of the era. The ones who actually compiled the entire Talmud is Ravina and Ravashi.
And that's after that?
That's after that, yeah. Ravina Ravashi is the last generation. Actually, Mar Bar Ravashi, the son of Ravashi, was the last generation number 7, or some say 8, of the Amoraim. Then came a short period of time of not well-known rabbis called Rabbanan Sivuroi. And then came the Gaonim, before Rashi. The Gaonim lasted for 450 years, about 12 generations. And then starts Rashi's teacher, the Rif, Rabbeinu Yitzchak Alfasi. This is about 1,000 plus years ago, 1,100 years ago. So we're talking about around 4,700 is the era of the Rishonim. So we have Zugos, Tanoim, Amoraim, Rabbanan Sivuroi, Gaonim, Rishonim. And the Rishonim are Rashi, Ramban, Nachmanides, Rashba, Ritva, probably don't know, Rashba, Ritva, and Rosh and Ran, yeah.
Okay. So,
Well, let's learn Gemara inside now.
so the.
Oh, one second, before you ask any questions. How do we know about what's the proof that Torah Shebaal Peh is authentic and it comes from God too? The answer is many. One of the main answers is, you look at Parshas Re'eh, I don't remember the exact pasuk and verse or the exact parak, but in Parshas Re'eh, towards the middle of the parsha, Hashem says you are to slaughter your sacrifices. Slaughter your animals. Let's talk about not sacrifices, your regular food. Before you want to eat kosher food, you have to make sure the animal's kosher, but you have to slaughter it ritually. Slaughter it ritually as you are commanded. There's no place in Chumash, in the written Torah, where it tells you about any details of how to slaughter. Zero. You won't find it. So the Torah is indicating, you know what I mean, as per the oral law, which I handed down to Moshe Rabbeinu. Clear proof, impossible to refute. The second and third and fourth and fifth proof, if you need any proofs, don't do any work on Shabbos. What does work mean? How do you define work? Tie what's it called? The God's name on your hand. Where? Here? Where? What, how's it look? How do you know you have to have a box of film that are square and black? Maybe it could be blue, maybe rectangular. And how do you know what to put into the film? It's impossible to understand. The Torah is not here to confuse us. So it's obvious that he has commentary that comes together. And it says that the Torah B'Ksav and Torah Shebaal Peh is like husband and wife who become like one. You can't have one without the other. To have children, you need to have both, female and male. The Torah Shebaal Peh is the female aspect of the Torah. So every feminist should have to believe in Torah Shebaal Peh, because that's the female aspect of Torah. Why is it the female aspect? Because it receives, it's makabel. Huh?
Feeling is from Torah Shebaal Peh.
No, but how to understand it? How do you know it's black and square and over here, not over here? And the Torah says, put it in between your eyes. But we don't put it over here. We don't put the film over here. How do you know? It's impossible to know unless you have oral law handed down from Moshe. And there's a reason why God wanted certain things written and certain things not written. I can explain that for a couple hours, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Yes.
So can I just clarify?
One last thing before you. One more last thing. I'm in a very tired mood, so you have to excuse me. One last thing, and that is, how do you know how to read the vowels? In the Torah, there's no vowels. So all these missionaries, how are you reading it? Who gave you permission to read it that way? Maybe it's how do you know how to read the letters? Unless you have Torah Shebaal Peh. There is no other way to know it.
Yeah.
And there are other proofs. So Torah Shebaal Peh is the female aspect of Torah. That's why it's Lashon Nekeva. We'll soon see from the Gemara here that's actually a compared to a woman. Eshes Chayil, we say before Kiddush on Shabbos, is sometimes referred to Torah Shebaal Peh, Torah in general and Torah Shebaal Peh in particular. Sun and moon are also sometimes compared to Torah B'Ksav as the sun, Torah Shebaal Peh is the moon, which receives its light from the sun. So that's another comparison. But also, what I wanted to mention to you is we'll leave it for another time. Let's start the Gemara right now. What do you want to ask? What do you want to ask? You have one, Chava.
The Amoraim reading of the Mishnah,
Yes.
right?
Which also includes, by the way, Mishnah and Brisa.
And
They
what?
take Brisa. You know what Brisa is? Yeah.
No. Thank you.
Okay. Brisas are the same.
How do you spell Bryson?
Beis, Reish, Yud, Saf, Aleph. I'm losing ground here. Who left already? People leaving? Okay.
So,
Brisa is outside talk, explanations of the Mishnah. In other words, it's from the Tanaim, also the same sages, but some talks were formal and much more reliable. And then you have the same sages explaining much more of what they actually meant outside the Beis HaMedrash in an informal state, informal setup. So the informal teachings of the Tanoim are called Brisos. Okay, I better start. I'm gonna lose the class. Yes.
So they were compiled as the Gemara?
No, it's brought, it's equal to the Mishnah. It's on equal level with the Mishnah, except it's not always so
What was
clear.
compiled as then?
There's a compiler with Rabbi Chia. He compiled the Brises.
No, I'm talking about the Mishnah and Barisa
Yeah,
was compiled. Weren't they compiled?
yeah, by two different people. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi compiled the Mishnah, and Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Oshia compiled the Brisa. They were the compilers of all the outside talk of the Tanoim. I want to learn something inside now. Okay, let's take a look at. Oh, Amoraim just Ravina and Ravashi. Ravina and Ravashi were the Amoraim. The Gemara. Yeah. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, let's start now. Something's wrong over here. Oh, here it is. First page, right in front of me. So the very first page, look at the left column on the left, and look at the second paragraph on the column on the left. Actually, I'm sorry, the column on the right. If you're facing it it's on my left, but you're right. If I'm facing here, it's over here. The very first page in the English. Gemara relates an incident which makes reference to the verse just expounded. Okay. It's the Mishnah is actually halacha that we're not learning. It's about a poel, a worker. I mentioned this last week or 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. A worker who works, and the question is, how long does he have to stay in work? Normally it's a full day, sunrise to sunset. How about if you want to make him work more? How about if you paid him extra and didn't specify how many hours? So the Mishnah says, you cannot say, well, I paid you more. Obviously, I meant extra hours to work. Because they could answer back, no, we thought we're getting a higher salary, extra, excessive of normal, because you want us to work harder, not more hours, but work harder, do more in those hours. And therefore, you can't force them to work overtime. So it doesn't have anything to do with what we're going to be learning right now directly. There's no halacha here of a worker, but it does, we'll soon see how it does fit into the Mishnah. Okay, Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Ashkach Lahu Parha Gavana. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, this is Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, for a famous story with the cave, 12 years in the cave, like Bomer story. The son was Rabbi Elazar. Here's a story with Rabbi Elazar and Rabbi Shimon. He came across a certain marshal, like a police officer, the Kotofis Ganove, who was commissioned by the king in those days to investigate, arrest thieves. Ganovi are thieves. Tofes means to grab, to catch them and arrest them. And amongst them were a lot of Jewish people also, unfortunately. Armaleh, so Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, says to this guy, you're a Jew, right? How are you allowed to manage to prevail? How do you manage to make sure that you get the right people and not get some people who don't deserve to be punished? How do you manage to prevail over them? I mean, how do you find ganovim? Thieves are very hard to find. They're elusive. Lav b'chevasa misili? Lav, is it not? B'chevasa, like beasts, chaya. Chevasa. Misili, like mushal. A tough in Aramaic is instead of a shin in Hebrew. Mushal means compared to. Misili, likened to. As it's written, Bo tirmos kol chai seyor. In it, every forest beast stirs. So it's referring to thieves, and we're comparing them to beasts in the forest that are very hard to catch. So how do you succeed in catching these people? Let's skip the next few lines here because it's just another verse. Let's go to the next paragraph. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, continued. If you can't catch them, I'm afraid perhaps you are mistakenly apprehending the innocent. Dilma shaklos tzadike. Perhaps Dilma means perhaps. Shaklos, you're taking. Tzadike, the righteous. Bishafkas rishi, and leaving the guilty behind. And that's terrible. So the marshal, who was a Jew, responded, Amarle, Umay Evid, what can I do? I know you have a good point, but what can I do? Haramana de Malkahu, it is the king's order. Therefore, I have to arrest someone. Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Amar Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, said to him, let me teach you how to find thieves. Come. Agmarach, like Gemara. Agmarach, I will teach you. Heichi ta'avid, how to proceed. How? Heichi means how. Ta'avid, what to do, how to proceed in catching the right people. It's going to sound very strange to you, this method of catching thieves. Guaranteeing it's going to sound, what? Ul ba'arba sho'i lechanusa. Ul, enter. Ba'arba sho'i, in the 4th hour of the day. Like 9 a.m. in the morning is the 4th hour of the day, the beginning of the 4th hour of the day. If the day begins at 6, let's say, an average 12-hour day, 6 to 6, 6 a.m., 6 p.m., 6, 7, 8, 9 is the beginning of the 4th hour. Enter into a little restaurant or, where people eat, a diner, lichanusa, into the diner or restaurant where people are eating breakfast. Kichazis inish, if you see a man, because shosi chamra, who's shosi like shoseh, drinking, shtiya, who's drinking chamra. What's chamra? Wine. Chamra can mean a donkey in Aramaic or it can mean wine. It's interesting. I mean, one word for both, donkey and wine. If you see a man who is drinking wine, because shosi chamra, drinking wine, yeah. And as he's drinking the wine, because nokit kasa beyodei, become an name, and he holds his cup in his hand while dozing off. Sha'oli way, he's a suspect. I'll soon see why. That guy is a suspect of being a thief. If he's falling asleep early in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, while he's holding a cup of wine to drink, enjoying the wine, and he's half asleep, he's dozing off while he's holding the cup of wine, which is not too normal. He must be really exhausted. He's probably up a whole night. Guess what he was doing the whole night? Stealing. So he's tired in the morning. Usually people are not that tired in the early. You get tired in the afternoon. Yeah. Not in the morning. So why is he so tired? Suspicious. Wait. Now, if he happens to be a rabbi, a rabbinical student, a rabbinical scholar, then he probably is tired because rabbinical students, Torah students get up early in the morning. And we mean early, like a good hour, a few hours before dawn, like by 3 or 4 in the morning. No wonder why by 9 they're very tired. He's drinking wine to give himself some strength, and instead of coffee, I guess, although wine puts you to sleep. But he's tired because of the early hours he woke up. So that doesn't mean that he's a thief. Akdumi kadim ligirse. You can assume that he woke up early before dawn on behalf of his studies. Just by the way, if you're interested in what page this is, it's page 83b in Bava Metzia. You don't see the pages over here. 83b, I believe. Okay, and he's thus, and because he is a scholar, he got up very early in the morning, so don't blame him for being tired. Next page, page 83b here. Now you see 83b. If he's not a Talmud Chacham, but he's a laborer, he's a worker, he's a businessman, and he works during the day. So wait a second, why is he so tired? If he works during the day, he probably slept during the night. Why should he be tired? He's not a Talmud Chacham who learns at night, so why should he be so tired? The answer is he must be conscientious. He might be a very conscientious worker, and he got up early to do some work. And then he stopped off in the diner to eat to have some breakfast. He probably did his work early. So therefore, don't blame him. He's a worker. He's a person who works usually is an honest person, not a thief. He has parnasa of his own. Why is he tired? Because he got up early. He's conscientious. The iavidite balelia. Furthermore, even if they tell you he's a craftsman and his work is at night, okay, so that's why he might be tired, because he works all night, but you regard this as suspicious. We don't see him working during the day. At night, the house is silent. It seems like everything's dark and there's no noise. You don't hear any banging. If he's a smith or something. So it seems like the guy doesn't work at night either. So Radude Radid. Truth might be he has a type of work where he lengthening metal wires, which is a quiet craft. So you don't hear because it's quiet. There's no noise. He's not a smith banging with a hammer. He's doing something else which doesn't require a noise to be made. The elo, but if he's a person who's dozing off is not one of these, in other words, we find out that he's not working at night at all, not working during the day. He's not a Talmud Chacham. Grab him. Now don't execute him. Don't punish him yet. Do some research and interrogations. The elo ganvahu, he's probably a ganav. You can safely deduce that he's a thief, and you should arrest him and then find out more details. Ishtoye milsa bei malka. This matter of Rabbi Elazar's great advice to the marshal became known in the palace. Amru, they said, Karyana di igarta ihu lehevi parvanaka. It's actually Rashi says this. I'll tell you in English what it is, and then you tell me if you know anywhere in Chumash where this applies. The reader of the letter, the guy who gives the advice, should be the one to deliver. Yes, heavy Aramaic. Again, Karyana, like Kriya, the reader of the letter, Igarta, Igeret is a letter in Hebrew. Igarta is Aramaic. Ihu, is like he in Hebrew. Who. In Hebrew, you want to say he in Hebrew. He in Hebrew, you say who. In Aramaic, you say ihu. Leheve shall be. Parvanka. Parvanka means the guy who delivers. And the person who reads the rules should actually be the one to deliver it. Who said this? To whom? Moshe Rabbeinu tells Pinchas. Pinchas said to Moshe, he taught us that if there is a situation where someone is doing Zimri, story with Zimri, and fooling around with a non-Jewish woman in public, you can kill the person if he's in the middle of the act. If you feel zealous, if you have that zealous feeling, you're allowed to kill the person. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, oh, okay, you're the one who actually found, I forgot this law. You remember it? Go ahead, you do it. So Rashi and Chumash says in Parshas Pinchas the exact same words that the Gemara says. You're the one who gave the advice, deliver it. Be the one to do it. And of course, since Moshe didn't do it, everyone was blaming Pinchas. I know why you did it, because you're an angry person. You have blood. Your grandfather was Yisro, who was very cruel before he converted. And you got that cruelty in your bones, and that's why you love to see bloodshed. Because if you're so kind, and you don't get the same Shemayim, how come Moshe didn't do it? So we're taking up for the covenant of Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu, the Rebbe, didn't do it. Why are you doing it? Because Moshe is a kind person. You have cruelty in you. Anyways, that's what people were saying about Pinchas. But the exact words that Gemara is using was used in Parshas Pinchas, Rashi, and Parshas Pinchas at the beginning. Karyana, you'll see the Rashi. Karyana, the Igarta, the reader of the letter, should deliver the letter. Asyul Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon. So they brought Rabbi Elazar ben Shimon and they made him do the job of being a marshal. The Katafis Ganove Ozel. He was set about arresting thieves, and he continued doing this, which means even after the king gave him a certain time, just for a week, you got to do it. Then we'll hand it over to our own people. He continued doing this even after the time allotting was over. He was only supposed to do this for a week or so, or a month or so. And he continued doing it. The word va'azil. He went on. He continued doing this even later. So here comes Shalach le Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha was actually Rabbi Kiba's son. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha is the son of Rabbi Kiba, who is called Karcha. Rabbi Yeshua ben Karcha sent a message to him. Chometz ben Yayin. Your father was a great tzaddik. He was like wine. You're like vinegar. Vinegar is the son of wine. So let's see why I use that expression. Ad Mosai Ata Moser Amoch Olkeinu Lahariga. Why and how long will you hand over people of our God, Jewish people, to their execution? Because when these thieves are found, they're not just put in jail, they're executed. They're not punished with a fine, paying double what they stole, but they're actually executed. What right do you have to deliver Jews to execution, even if they're thieves? And we'll soon see it's very strange. Shalach Leis, Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, answered back, I am ridding the vineyard of its thorns. These are the thorns of the Jewish people, and I'm getting rid of them. Now, how do you understand this? A thief is not liable to a death penalty. So why in the world would he feel just into causing Jewish thieves to be executed? And they were executed. How could he feel comfortable with this? So the answer, it's the number of answers. It was rampant in those days. It was mamash getting out of hand. But some Rishonim say that when you see a certain Avera is becoming so out of hand, it's spreading like wildfire, that even though the person, for what he did, should not be liable to a death penalty, but it becomes so overwhelming and starts spreading like a disease, you're allowed to put the person to death. The rabbis have that authority. Some say only in addition to the fact that the government is also ruling. And we have a rule, the government is ruling things that are ethical and moral, punishing a thief, and the rabbis also see that this is going out of whack, it's completely out of line. They're allowed to do that. That was some Rishonim saying. The Rambam, however, doesn't agree with this, and others give a different answer. Listen to this answer. He was saving lives of tzaddikim, because if he wouldn't do it, he wouldn't get these crooks, Jewish crooks. The righteous ones would be caught by the other Goyish marshals. And so these crooks are actually causing righteous people to die. If he wouldn't be taking over with his expertise of finding thieves, you know what would happen? The Jewish criminals would be causing death to the righteous ones. because it's thanks to them that there are thieves, and the marshals, the non-Jewish marshals, are not careful, and they will grab even people that don't deserve to be executed at all, even rightful, even just people. So if you see a certain person, here's a rule, it's called rodef. If you see someone running after someone else trying to kill, if you see Reuben trying to kill Shimon, and the only way to stop Reuben from killing Shimon is by killing Reuben, you're allowed to do that. Afterwards, you're not allowed to. If you already killed Shimon, then you have to bring him to court. But if he's in the middle of it, he's about to do the act, and you shoot the guy who's about to shoot the other guy, you're saving Shimon's life. There's no way to stop Reuben unless you shoot him in the head, because shooting him in the leg won't help. You're allowed to actually kill him. So this husband of Shimon was saying, by me not getting involved, if I don't arrest the criminals, what's going to happen? The tzaddikim will be caught, and they're going to be in trouble also. As a result, all the criminals have a din of a rodef. And a din of a rodef means pursuing. You're running after someone to kill someone. Rodef, running. And if you're running after someone to kill someone, you're allowed to assassinate that person, kill that person. Says that's his reasoning. So he answered back, I'm sorry, that's not your responsibility. I understand that's not called rodef. Rodef means when the person is, you see someone running after to kill someone. These criminals are not trying to kill a tzaddikim. It's indirect. They're indirectly causing danger for the righteous, but they're not running after the righteous to kill them. Thus, you're not allowed to. That's not a good enough excuse to act as a marshal and arrest the criminals. That was an interesting dispute over here in Halacha. If you have someone who's indirectly causing death to others, is that good enough to take that person's life? That was the dispute over here. It's a halachic dispute. It's a story, but it's a halachic dispute. You know, if a woman was having hardships with giving birth, and the doctor says that the only way you can survive is if the baby goes. So of course, if you're a chassid, you ask the Rebbe, and usually it ends up everyone surviving. But in a situation where you don't have a Rebbe and you see the doctors are all saying the same thing, there's no chance for your survival. The baby is aborted. Why is that? So some say because the baby's not intentionally on it, is like a rodef. It's threatening the mother's life. And the mother's life is more important than the baby's life, because the baby's life is still an unborn child, although you're not allowed to abort, God forbid, it's a terrible sin. But being that the baby is part of its mother, so relative to the mother, the baby is the one threatening the mother instead of the mother threatening the baby. Only one of them can survive. The baby is the threat. It's threatening the mother, not vice versa. But that's called direct.
Wrong?
What?
Is it wrong if the mother decides that she'd rather the baby survive?
Of course it's wrong. No, she's not allowed to risk her life to save a baby, no. If it was a born child, she wants to risk her life to save another person, that's something else. That's, another thing. But to risk to give away your life to save a baby who's unborn is forbidden. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to play around with your life either. You can't give your life away when you're not obligated, when you're not allowed to do so. I'm going off on a little tangent over here, but it's also true. For example, there's just enough water for one of us to drink. We have enough water. We're both dying of thirst, and I found water. I found it first. I'm not obligated to give it to someone else. If we both drink, we'll both die. It's not enough. We need to drink a certain amount, and there's not enough for both of us. So al pi halacha, you go first because you have it in your hands. Okay, not obligated to give your life away to save another life. What about my life? I have it. If you're a chassid, if you're someone on a very high madrega, it might be different. But al pi halacha, you cannot. That's two people that are both.
There's another water.
What? That's a different story. There is no other water. Only one bottle of water, one jug of water, and you can't split it because that's not enough drinking. You'll both perish. So one of them, you don't want both to perish. So you can't. Sharing is wrong, for sure wrong. What are you gaining? Nothing's being gained. So you have to either take it for yourself or give it to someone else. You take it for yourself. On the other hand, if you're told, if you don't shoot that person dead, we'll shoot you dead. You're not allowed to shoot that person dead. Why is that person less important than you? You're taking an action here. You're shooting that person just because your life is threatened. But you have to let yourself be killed, not to kill another person. Regardless if that person is less of a tzaddik than you, is a child, makes no difference. It's a young child versus a plain person versus a tzaddik. It doesn't make a difference. Yes. Maya.
How is it different from the case of the water?
Because the case of the water, you have the water in your hand. So it's passive. You're not doing anything. In other words, you're not taking anything away from someone, not taking someone's life. You have it. Over there, you're shooting that person. So you have to be passive. Hope for the best. That Hashem will save both of you. But you're not allowed to. If someone ties you, and then throws you on top of a little baby to kill the baby, it's a horrible story. Mentioned in Gemara. So you're not mechuyev to fight. In other words, if you fight, you can fight off and get yourself killed. So if you're going to fight, they're tying you right now. They're tying you, and they're going to throw you on top of a baby and crush the baby. God forbid. Terrible story. And the only way you can prevent that from happening is if you fight them, and they'll kill you instead of the baby. Then you're not obligated to fight them. You stay passive. You want to tie me down? I'm not doing anything. Throw me on the baby. You're allowed to do that because you're not being active in killing. You're not killing the baby. You're just the object. You're being thrown at the baby. So you're not obligated to fight and have yourself killed. You got the difference? Okay. Now, it's late. Wow. So he called them chometz ben yayin. What did he answer back? Sorry, Rabbi. Yavai Baal, like none of your business. Yavai Baal hakerem v'yechala es kaitzav. Let the master of the vineyard, meaning God, the vineyard of the Jewish people, we're called the kerem, the wine. Let the master of the vineyard come and get rid of his thorns himself. That's his problem, not your problem. You're not allowed to do what you're doing. I understand you have this whole kind of calculation that you're actually going to save lives of tzaddikim. You can't do that. That's out of your hand. That's in God's hands. He'll take care of who needs to be taken care of. Yom Echad, one day, I wanted to talk about why he referred to him as chometz ben yayin. Vinegar gets sour, right? Vinegar is wine that stayed out too long and gets sour. So it gets sour by staying out, by getting involved in yourself with the outside world. Wine is just the opposite. What makes wine special? The longer you keep it in the grapes, the better it tastes when you squeeze the grapes. Sometimes it's good to stay removed from certain situations in the world. Don't get involved in everything. Wine is good when it's in its grapes. Then when it comes out, wow, it tastes wonderful, really, really wonderful, and it lifts you up and it reveals all kinds of secrets. But chometz is the opposite. When wine is kept out and not refrigerated and kept out for a very long time, it turns into vinegar, and that's what you're doing. That's what you're like. You're getting involved with the world out there, mixing, and it's chometz. Further, Yom Echad, one day, a certain laundryman. Paga be'ahu koves. A certain laundryman encountered Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, and he called him the same name as the other rabbi did. Karyeh chometz ben yayin. He called him to his face, vinegar, the son of wine. Amar Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, said to himself, "Wow, what chutzpah! The guy's a nobody." Midchativ kuli hai. Since this laundryman is singularly contemptuous, he's not a rabbi. He's a good-for-nothing lowlife, and he has the chutzpah to speak that way to a rabbi. Shma mino, this person must be some kind of real evil person. Rishiyahu, Amalahu Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, he told the deputies, Tifsuhu, arrest him. Tfasuhu, they arrested him. After his mind was once again at ease, Azal Basrei Liperuke, he went after the laundryman to redeem him from his impending execution. He didn't feel that he had the right to execute him just based on the notion that maybe since he has such chutzpah, he might be a bad guy. V'lei matzi, he was unable to do it. It was too late. The guy was executed. Kari alei, Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, pronounced this verse on the laundryman. He who guards his mouth and tongue guards his soul from tribulations. He was referring to, according to Rashi, referring to this laundryman. Why did you have to open your mouth and speak that way? A life was lost. Zakfuhu, they actually hung this laundryman. And he was very bitter. He felt remorseful. Come to say to keep Rabbi Elazar, son of Rabbi Shimon, reacts. He stood under the gallows and cried. Amr Leve said to him, don't cry. Rebbe, al yera beinecha, don't be so troubled. You know who this guy was? Shahu and his son together were involved. Balu naira morosa b'yom kippurim. Cohabited with a betrothed nara, a woman, a young girl who was actually betrothed. Betrothed means that she was married but not living with her husband yet. That was the story in those days, was that women would go through two stages at different times. The ring ceremony is called betrothal. called kiddushin, and then nisuin is chuppah and living together. That took place a year later. Now we have it all in one shot. Under the chuppah, you give the ring, and then go into the yichud room, and that night they come home that night, and they're together, living together in one home. But in those days, it was not that way. And the sin of cohabiting with a naira, especially on Yom Kippur, he and his son together. What kind of chinuch is that? He and his son together were partnership in betrothing, in torturing a young woman, and on Yom Kippur, he deserves to die. Don't worry about it. He's no big tzaddik. Don't worry about the Ganav part. He's much worse than a Ganav. Therefore, he is deserving of this punishment. Strange Gemara over here. Hiniach yodi al b'nei me'av. Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, rested his hands on his stomach, and he said, "Well," he said, "rejoice my insides." He meant his kidneys. The kidneys have sometimes the ability to give you good advice. And he said to himself, if your uncertain judgments are targeted to be on target, then the ones you catch that you know for sure are thieves, then your certain judgments are all the more so. So the fact that God showed him that he's right and what he did, even when he wasn't sure, how much more so the things that he did that we weren't sure about. Okay, we ran out of time. I want to leave you with something interesting, just on the parsha, this parsha Yisro. Something interesting, yeah.
Another thing?
Yeah, this was boring because you guys were all sleeping. But so parsha Yisro. Yisro was a Gilgal. Yisro and Moshe were actually brothers in a different Gilgal. Guess who? Cain and Hevel. Cain killed Hevel. Why did Cain kill Hevel? They were fighting over a woman. Some say, the Torah said something else. They were fighting over a triplet. Cain had, he was older, and he married his sister. Hevel married his sister, but there was another sister, another triplet, and that's what they were fighting over. Cain said, "Oh, I'm older than you." Hevel said, "But she's mine. She's my sister. So why should I should have her first." And they fought until Cain killed Hevel. So it says that later on, and here's the first problem with brothers. Okay, so we have to be mesaki. We need to be, in order to have the Torah coming down to earth and making peace between earth and God, we need to have brothers coming down again and making peace. Who are those brothers? Moshe was a Gilgal of Hevel, and Cain and Yisro was the Gilgal of Cain. This week's parsha, it says, Ani chosencha Yisro. Very strange way of a father-in-law identifying himself to a son-in-law. I, your father-in-law, Yisro, I'm coming to you. Is that how father-in-laws talk to son-in-laws? I'm coming to you. Ani chosencha. I, your father-in-law. In case you don't know what my name is, you might have forgotten your father-in-law's name. My name is Yisro. So Rabbi Elazar writes, Ani chosencha Yisro, Aleph Abani. Chosencha, the ches of chosencha, and the yud of Yisro is Achi, my brother. Hiddenly, subconsciously, they were saying, "You are my brother," and therefore we have to unite. So when Yisro's daughter, who married Tipporah, who was Tipporah? She was a Gilgal of that girl of Hevel's sister. So now Hevel gets back. Hevel, who's Moshe, gets back that girl that Cain married, and it was meant to be Hevel's wife. So this is an interesting word of this week's parsha. Ish Mitzri. Oh, I have one more last thing. That Cain had three parts to him. There was the cognitive part of Cain. The mochin of Cain was able to be sublimated. That part of Cain went into Yisro. The lower level of Cain went into the Mitzri that was killed by Moshe. And the middle level of Cain went into Korach. Korach could have gone either way. The Mitzri had to get killed, had to be killed, had to be executed before Yisro can sublimate the Cain part and the good part of Cain in him. So before Yisro and Moshe can get together, the Mitzri has to be done away with. So what does Tipporah tell her father? Ish Mitzri Hitzilonu. Now, Ish Mitzri does not mean Moshe Rabbeinu. It means the Mitzri whom Moshe killed. Thank God he's dead. Now you and Moshe and that person who saved our lives can get together. So Yisro says to her, well, if that's the case, why'd you send them away? Bring him here, and we'll build a family. In other words, Yisro was saying, if that's the case, if the Mitzri is dead, now it's time for us to become united. So why did you send them away? So the Mitzri is not Moshe. Each Mitzri means Moshe, literally means Moshe. It will look like a Mitzri to her. But really it means the Mitzri that Moshe Rabbeinu killed. Saved the life of Yisro, who now can be sublimated and then get together with Moshe, who is Hevel. Cain and Hevel now can get together. We got to get rid of the bottom part of Cain. The obstacle of Cain has to be done away with. So that's what the Arizal says. Pretty spooky. That's this week's parsha. Remember, Ani, Aleph, Choselcha, Ches, Yisro, Achi, my brother. That's what he was saying.
I have a question.
It's like, yeah. What's your
was
name, by the way?
Haba.
Can I first, right?
Haba.
What's your name?
Haba.
Zagalos, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to ask.
hey, let me, yeah, go ahead. Michal, not here. Maya is here. Those not here. Shana? Rivka, yes. Russell, yes. Hannah Sternberg. Sofa Gola. Who's Sofa? Oh, okay. Keep forgetting, I'm sorry. Devorah Namdar, okay. Who's Sarah Lakma? Okay. And who is Sarah Benzels? On here. And who is Bracha? I can't read the name, because I can't read. Okay. Where's Micha? Okay. Yes.
Yesterday I was at a yesterday I was at a like
What? Yeah.
and the girl said I was sharing about like in another class there was a mention that this way and that she was kind of humble. So
Oh, yeah,
I
it
was
was meant to
sharing
be.
it and she said that she heard that none of them were kind of
Who said this?
that's who heard it.
I never heard it.
So I was wondering if you knew anything about that, because you were just saying about the different parts, that like one part was by the Mitzvah and one part by Yisrael. So maybe there was. Yeah.
No, but
Part-
Yisro, Korach, and Yisro, Korach, and Mitzri and Lois could be supplemented. The Yisro part of Cain could be supplemented. The Korach could go either way. And Korach failed, and what happened was he went down there. It's like Heather. I never heard another one. I haven't heard. I'm not saying I just don't haven't heard that. Where did you get that from? Give a source.
Yeah, I don't know, she said that she.
You might be right, I just
she
don't know.
heard it.
Could
That's
be.
why I figured wanted to ask you because you knew about the different parts.
Yeah, well, actually, it was discussed already. So it was discussed about Cain and Hevel being Moshe and Yisro. That was discussed in that class. Which class was this?
Cain and Abel being discussed was in the club of finish.
We're here.
Yeah, the finish teacher. She didn't say that there was like sections of Yisrael soul in the share.
Sections.
She didn't say that, she said that she knew that.
The order was the Gilgal of the girls who were fighting over.
Yeah, we didn't know that either. Yeah, but that's so interesting.
Yeah. Spooky, right?
It's good. Now it's the full picture. Beforehand, I got the summary, and now I get the full picture.
You here? Are you here?
Yeah, and now in the summary. Last time there was a Friday.
Last Friday was no fun.
Yeah, I know. Last time there was a Friday. I was